Hello, all. I'm just here working away. Oh, it's time to start. Hello, all. Yes, Catherine, that seems to be the trend and trying to make sense of it. Her comment was Bond folks with artifacts are getting paid out. That seems to be where all the action is. You guys have heard me call it like historic art, like, I don't know, like golden eagles, golden pistols, golden somethings. Trying to make it make sense. Hello, Sluggo. Hello, Linda. Hello, Grumpy and Leslie and Scallywag. Hello, Hoops. Good to see you in the house. If you're like me and you're getting to that age where you are tired all the time, bloated after every meal, and no amount of water seems to help, listen up. Recently, I dealt with that. Decided to call my friend Dr. Josh for some help, told him what was going on, and his response kind of shocked me. Said I was showing all those telltale signs of a dehydrated liver. Not dehydrated like drink more water. Told me that was actually part of the problem. You see, most people think hydration, it's just about drinking enough water. Here's what Dr. Josh explained to me. Your liver is your body's main hydration organ. And if your liver cells aren't getting water at the cellular level, it doesn't matter how many glasses you drink a day, the water just runs right through you. And when your liver is dehydrated, everything suffers. Your energy tanks, your digestion slows, you bloat, you hold on to stubborn weight, your skin looks dull, you feel decades older than you actually are. Plain water can't fix this on its own. Most electrolytes are just sugar and salt that completely ignore your liver. So on Dr. Josh, with a practicing doctor with over 25 years of medical experience, created a daily hydration drink called LTV, Larry Tom Victor. It's not just another electrolyte drink. LTV combines clinical dose marine electrolytes with taurine to help your cells actually hold on to water, plus milk thistle and dandelion root to support your liver's natural detox function. Told me LTV has already helped thousands of people and has received incredible reviews from customers who notice results fast. So when I'd heard enough, gonna give it a try. Been drinking it, making a difference. Happy to report, saying goodbye to constant bloating, afternoon crashes, dried out, foggy feeling, saying hello to real energy, smoother digestion, a body that actually feels hydrated for the first time in years. Powerful stuff. Amazed at how much better I felt so quickly. But again, you're not going to get results like this from just a regular electrolyte drink or by just drinking more water. Dr. Josh has put his 25 plus years of experience into LTV to make sure it actually delivers real cellular hydration. So if you're ready to hydrate your liver at the cellular level, finally feel the difference in your energy, your digestion, your waistline, you can find out more. You can order it by going to drinkltv.com/MarkZ. Links in the description on YouTube and Rumble to make it easy. If you want to get your hands on some today, drinkltv.com/MarkZ. And right now, got up to 64% off using that link off of LTV for a limited time. That, again, only available through that link. Do yourself a favor, go take a look. Hello, the original, the unoriginal, or the original biz. I like it. Yeah, I'm getting to that age where I just need an RV. I'm with you. Hello, Edward. Edward, we're going to get to talk about that today with Andy on the metals. And it is crazy because Citibank's even saying they, by September, gold could see up to a 20% decline is what Citi's saying. But at the same time, the fundamentals are screaming buy, buy, buy. Now we have to ask ourselves, why? Why do we have this conflict? It's a really good argument for the buying opportunity for metals, a tremendous one. And we will be diving into it. TP, Sabrina's been mod over there for a few weeks now. Let's see what did Mountain Goat have to say. Bowler bringing it in. We may see the HCL, or also called oil gas law, on the near horizon, as it will soon be taken up in Parliament when the next session starts. Next session starts July 1st. So high priority, and we're told it will be one of the first pieces of legislation taken up. Wow, the HCL and factions are the two biggies we thought would take the longest. Keep telling you things can change suddenly, as we only get part of the news. That's all I can say about that one. He's spot on, and we were going to talk about it today in the news. So that is fortuitous timing. There's his part tune. Part 2. The actual reality is normally much further ahead of the news we get. Amen. It is, especially in Iraq, the way they do their news. Folks, we're almost there. I'll buy that one. I agree with that. Our resident philosopher, RW, success is neither magical nor mysterious. Success is a natural consequence of consistently applying the basic fundamentals. That is so true. Hey, Hicktown Girl said, do you think we'll get this wrapped? I do think we'll get it wrapped up soon. But I heard once that you get your money, you'll have to do some financial classes, help manage your money. I've not heard that from any of my sources at all. It'd be a great idea. But freedom of speech, think about the logic in that one. This isn't like a trust where granddaddy decides you got to have classes. We are free, sovereign adults, meaning we have the right to be idiots. Blow the money, throw it away. If you're smart, you would give yourself mandatory financial classes. They wouldn't need to pass something. We have to stop protecting the weak. Well, I don't know. That's probably not. No. That's not the right way to look at it. We absolutely must protect the weak, the ones that can't protect themselves. But for those that can protect themselves and don't, we got to take the guardrails off. We got to take the safety bumpers off of society. We have to stop protecting the ones that just simply aren't. I would make the argument that we probably need to give Darwin a little help and stop protecting stupid people. I don't mean like, yeah, all right. You guys know where I'm going with that one. Boy, it's going to be taken out of context. Jules, you like that shirt here? Got a really cool one. Finally getting through mail and stuff. And Miss Kim, thank you. USA, going to celebrate the 250th. 250 years of freedom. A great shirt. It's got to get washed now. Hello, Joyce. You got what I was going with, Joyce, right? Yeah. Unprecedented times gets it. Idiocracy. That's exactly it. Beekeeper, amen. We need to be responsible for ourselves. Natural selection. All right. A lot of you guys got it. Mitchell, this is so great. In all honesty, I intend to limit my hookers and gambling expenditures to no more than 10%. You know, I wish I could talk Mike into doing the same thing. But yeah, all the little fun in life, right? Take the warning labels off, right? They're dumb enough to eat Tide Pods. Let them. They're going to drink the battery acid. Let them. If they're old enough to read that and they can't figure out what it means. Nope. Aussie Mom Mountain Goat just pointing out that that's when they're meeting. But Mountain Goat, if you go back and read it, actually said, but it could go at any time because they are usually further ahead than their news. This is like the crazy thing. There are a lot of people out there that actually say what they mean. I know this is just nuts. Mountain Goat's one of the people that says what they mean. You don't have to read through any lines. You don't have to wink, wink, think about it in a different way. It's just like right out there. Like, bam. We could go before because they're usually further ahead than the news indicates, meaning the story's already really done. Said exactly that. You don't have to think about this one. Said exactly what he was trying or she was trying to say. I love people like that. That's the way to run with. Wait, what's I love some of these old quotes and stuff. Let's see. Bernard Sharon, I spent half my money on booze and the other half on women. Glad I didn't waste any. That's epic. Where are we at? Where it's that time? It is that time. Let's get to it. Alex, unfortunately, there is no real bond news to share today. It remains yet another one full of hopeful greats. I am hearing there are people with dollars, those that had historic assets, that a number of those have been paid. I don't know what makes that different. Trying to track anything else that I can qualify properly. I'm coming up blanks. I'm coming up with a lot of folks saying this is going to be your week. This is the week. This is our week. It's great. Stay calm. Just not getting anything good and solid other than that, which is kind of like a wash, rinse, and repeat for the last few days. Dominated no special bond news, whether it is a yellow dragon, whether it's a German, whether it's a Mexican railroad. Alex, you're welcome. It is a shame. Guess I could do what I swear so many of these other gurus or intel people do and just make some crap up. I swear they do. It's like painful. Barack accelerates, and maybe they don't. Barack accelerates the arms control project proposals for the delivery of missiles and drones in exchange for integration with the state institutions. What does that mean? Pretty much exactly what Mountain Goat was talking about when Bowler brought that in. PMF forces. They are accelerating the process. A number jumped on. Zaid's the first one to actually tackle this thing aggressively. They are rewarding some of the factions that fold into the military. Well, I should say they're rewarding the military with better class of weapons, drones, cruise missiles, etc. In other words, modernizing the Iraqi official military sources as they disarm the factions. Really, really positive news on that front, because we were told our last two big holdouts to get this thing and launch this thing have been folding the PMF forces in and HCL. Part of that HCL stuff is going to be Escuda, the tariff program, so that it's shared equally across the country. Taxes are equal across the country, etc. And what else do we have in the news? Oh, really thought I was going straight to that one, but all right, I messed myself up a touch. Private sector at the crossroads of transformation. Economists' comprehensive reforms are a condition for the real partnership with the state. What does that mean? The new government is doing what it takes to grow the private side and to create legal protections for folks that are willing to partner, or private entities and businesses, so the government can't just come in and willy-nilly decide they're socialist and take it all like they have in the past. So those protections, that's all part of privatizing and part of their white reforms. Baghdad Herbal Joint Committee to resolve the pending issues. That's probably your big story for the day, or one of your biggest. The spokesman for the Kurdistan regional government, Bishwa Harami, confirmed on Wednesday the delegation from the Kurdish KRG will head to Baghdad to discuss the file ASIC system. So they are pounding through their final stuff for HCL. This is going to be right here, Escuda project. These are going to be tariffs back and forth as they work out those revenue sharing. Who's responsible for what? Exactly the fees, equalizing them across the country and the regions. This is all part of HCL that you're watching. I mean, all part of the process that we were told were the last things that they were holding out on before they could change our rate. Prime Minister's spokesman, I thought this one was an important one too. The salaries, employees, and retirees are insured, and there's no currency printing. It appears on the way out the door that Sudani secretly printed 25 trillion dinar. At least this is a story, and there are a lot of stories in the press to support it. And they have been cleaning this up, that it was an unexpected curve that has cost them a couple of weeks. And this makes sense to me, because it would dilute the value of the dinar for everybody else. If there were an extra 25 trillion, they're only expecting 90 some trillion. They're expecting to be able to pay for it over time with the oil for dinar process. You suddenly have an extra 25 trillion, 25% more currency. Actually, it would be more than that, because of what's in circulation and whatnot dumped. It would affect values. So they've been cleaning it up. They have been doing a massive cleanup of those. The U.S. Unloading files on this new government, about 20 years of political corruption, who had what and where it is. And they have been, boy, on a mad dig cleaning that up over the last 3 weeks. So maybe that is why when we first started hearing of bonds going, that things suddenly hit the slow. But this being dealt with and dealt with quickly, I am extremely encouraged Why would he do that? The question is, was I wrong about Sudani all the time? Was he basically just in bed with Maliki or Maliki, whichever pronunciation you guys want to use? What do you think? I think I may have misread it. Back to the news. Actually, I'm going to turn this news one off because I need to rip. We should have Andy at about the 30-minute mark, just to give you guys a heads up. Future slide amid renewed tech selling, geopolitical chaos ahead of key CPI print. What are they getting at? CPI is expected to go over 4% inflation, which means there's going to be a lot of pressure on interest rates to go up so that people make more money than inflation eats, or they won't invest in treasuries, they'll invest in gold. With the expectation, it's believed that treasury rate of return will drop to well under 1%, maybe even close to 0.5%, which means more and more people will run to the metals for safety and maybe even some cryptos. There's a lot of uncertainty in the market right now, and it's going to be interesting to talk to Andy because we're still watching falling metal prices, but the fundamentals are screaming that we should be watching skyrocketing metals prices. So we have a contradiction here that is big. So what do? Do we watch the press? Do we watch the price? Or do we watch the fundamentals in this one? So that's some of the things we'll be discussing with Andy when we get him in here very shortly. This one, Deb, ActBlue CEO testifying before Congress. Will they actually hold his feet to the fire? Will they cover all the people, all the undercover ones that have gone to folks? And the folks have been like, no, I don't donate. I donated ActBlue once. Then they find out they've donated thousands and thousands of dollars, $5 at a time, $10 a time, supposedly. Money didn't come from them, but they got signed up as if they're the person that gave the money. In my opinion, and it is based only on opinion and those videos of all those doors being knocked on, I believe it is one hell of a laundry service for the Democrats or for the DNC or the Uniparty. Call it what you will. I'm certain Republicans have their own version, or the RNC. Reading a few of you guys' comments. So we're talking about the future sliding, what it means, where we're at right now. Going to do more of a dive with Andy on this one. Bullish for gold. Spiking inflation could send real yields lower no matter what the Fed does. This was a great one from the folks over at Money Metals talking about nominal interest rates, what it means. It was talked about, of course, here as well, what it balances out to, and what is driving gold price. A really nice breakdown. What's a real interest rate when you actually do the math as they get into it. Some of these things are what we're discussing with Andy, so I don't want to focus too much. I want to get on to these other issues. Ukraine hits over half a dozen energy and industrial sites deep inside Russia overnight. Ukraine has hit Russia in another sweeping wave of overnight aerial attacks, especially targeting industrial facilities, energy infrastructure across multiple regions. An extent of damage is yet to be disclosed. Key targets were reportedly the VN2R Progress plant located in the Republic of Chuvashia and was alleged by Ukraine and the West to manufacture components for Russia's drones bombs. Another refinery. Russia can't continue to allow its economic base to get whittled like this, meaning that Russia's approach of a long, slow grind, guaranteed win for them, isn't as palatable as it used to be, meaning Russia, which has far more military might than they have used in the Ukraine, really needs to ratchet things up. And they're getting pushed to a point where crap or get off the pot kind of moment. Got to come up with a better term for that one. President Putin, top military brass, had last month said strikes would be initiated against decision-making centers in response to the drone attack in Russia's Lugansk People's Republic on May 22nd, which killed 21 people, mostly teenage girls, and injured 70 others. Kremlin officials say that Russian forces have a night to dismantle any infrastructure that supports terrorism. But it's also these constant attacks on oil and industrial sites that little by little will put immense strain on Russia's economy and the populace. The salvos out of Ukraine will keep coming, especially as Moscow continues to maintain the special military operation at a slow, grinding pace. What does that mean? Yet another analyst has come to the conclusion that Russia's going to have to fully commit, kind of like the U.S. when we refused to fully commit in Vietnam. We were destined to lose. Russia's come to this realization already, and it is time to ramp it up. In other words, look for a culmination very quickly. They have to get this off stuck. They now have tremendous pressure to finish it. Now, to the next one. Trump may keep going with strikes as Iran took too long to negotiate the deal. Now must pay the price. Trump says Iran took too long to negotiate. Now they're going to have to pay that price. Of course, Tehran claiming its attacks in Kuwait, Bahrain, Jordan. As a fulfillment of previously vowed retaliation targeting the Fifth Fleet headquarters in Manama, footage shows. What does this mean? Another one of those forced moments to make something happen, that we can't continue this way. We're going to have being forced to make the hard decisions we should have made initially already. In other words, I'm looking for quicker resolutions to these issues in both Russia and Iran, which I think is going to be important to this process. What I'm saying is, I believe we're about to be completely off stuck. Now, onto our politics. Jen, I am in North Carolina. I consider Puerto Rico home now, though. Republican Steve Hilton advances in the California's governor race. Voters will decide between Democrat Xavier Becerra, Republican Steve Hilton in November. Republican Steve Hilton secured enough votes for the race for California governor to advance the general election in November, setting up a partisan battle with Democrat Xavier. Of course, you guys' take. Right now, it appears that Carol will probably win the race by about 10% margin. There's more to cover in the political ones, but political side, but I really want to get you guys' take on this one. Hilton goes into the general election as a clear underdog. Hilton became a dual U.S.-UK citizen. Of course, he was, I think his parents fled Hungary, if I remember his history well enough. Raised in the UK, moved to the States. Conservative. Talked on Fox News. I'm unconvinced he's the answer, but Serene Bubbles, I'm with you. I'm ready to get out of this thing too. What's happening with Herms? Herms has been screaming for transparency in elections, but what he's going to do next, WKW, I don't know that answer yet. Shannon asking for some, or Shayna Neely. Good morning, everyone. Could I get some prayers for my daughter? Went to the ER last night and they admitted her. I just saw that one. Big believer in the power of prayer. I'm just reading a few of these, then I'm going to go back to it. All right, let's get back to it. Unconvinced for me on this one. Yeah, lily pad. Penny's going to start going with me. I can't be away from her that long anymore. I am so ready to get back to her. All right, Steve Hilton advances. We now have a two-way race. Graham Plattner wins the Maine Senate Democrat nomination, locking in face-off with Collins. Of course, Senator Collins been a senator in Maine, Republican senator since, what, 96, I think it is. Did I remember that right? Did they mention it in here? They probably, yeah, 96, 5 terms. Plattner. Multiple exes have come forward to talk about just how misogynistic, as foolish he is. One of them even pointing out that he knew he was getting a Nazi tattoo. He reportedly has a Nazi tattoo. I stay amazed. Political outsider rushing in. I guess Democrats have said that they're trying to brand themselves as more of a manly-ish side because of their appalling reputation as the soy boy party, and the women are actually 100% in charge, and any man there is, well, does whatever he's told. What do you guys think? I continue to see this from the left. They scream, call everybody else Nazis, but they allow them in their own party. Heck, they put them in powers of position. Wanted to know what you guys thought of Plattner winning the primary. Pretty scary in my book. I say, Tortuga says, I say people want to be arrested for voter fraud. To me, it's nuts. When you start looking at what happened with the LA election, when you look at the California governor's election, you look at just, defies all laws of probability. You got a better chance of getting struck by lightning 4 times on the same day, pretty much, it appears, than being an actual outsider and really winning in California. It's nuts. All right, we have the man, the myth. I'm looking forward to this one. Andy Schectman from Miles Franklin.
Hi, Mark.
How are you, sir? Let's see. Let's make certain I've got you loud enough.
I'm well. How are you, buddy?
I am good. How about yourself?
Came back from a little bit of a vacation to right into the mix, I guess you could say. Never a dull moment in this world these days.
All right, what do we take? I'm just going to throw you right in, like,
throw me under the bus, right?
Throw you under the bus. We're watching metal prices drop, which don't make much sense. We Citibank claiming that we could see gold drop as much as by 20% by September, but we look at the fundamentals. We look at 370 tons in the past month. China. We're watching the central banks buying at a downright alarming rate. Are we supposed to pay attention to the fundamentals? Are we supposed to pay attention to the price that we know is manipulated? Where are we supposed to be looking right now?
The price is a tool of misdirection. And I would argue that while many would look at this as gold and silver breaking down, I could argue they're just shaking people out. Silver never makes it easy. We know that. And will often scare investors right before it rewards them. And these violent pullbacks flush out leverage. They flush out weak hands. They flush out short-term traders, clearing the way for the next move higher. I'll show you that.
It also allows the bigs to hedge their bets on all their paper shorts.
Well, that's exactly what's happened. If you look at the last few times that gold and silver have violated their 200-day moving average, you'll see that, like, for example, the last time silver fell below the 200 was like April of 25, just before it exploded from $27 up to over $120. And prior to that, we saw the similar breaking just below the 200-day in 2020 when silver was at $11, and then in 2022 when it was at $17. In both cases, it shot massively higher. And I think you could say the same thing about gold. The last time we saw gold break below this, it was trading in 2022, be like around $1,550, or the $1,800 range in the fall of 23, which immediately then after we saw 100% gain in the next 12 months. So that is, when you talk about breaking below that widely followed 200-day moving average number, which is where the technicals flush everyone out, that's exactly where it is. And gold has been hit. It doesn't mean the bottom is in. To me, it means more along the lines we're entering that place where fear creates opportunity for those who understand it. Sentiment is being washed out, or already has, and momentum in terms of it being oversold is stretched to the downside to the nth degree. So weak hands have been forced out. But here's the key: While the paper market is being pushed lower, the physical market is telling in a massively different story. You mentioned China, that's big, right? On COMEX in the month of June, this month, 2.9 million ounces of gold have stood for delivery in the June contract, with another 289,000 ounces still open until the end of the contract. So, what is 2.9 times 4,300? It's over $12 billion. Let me just ask you this. Who in God's green earth stood for delivery for $12 billion in gold? No, I don't want the paper. Give me the damn metal. Thank you. At the same time, roughly 1 million ounces have left the COMEX vaulting system over the past 30 days. So, roughly $4.5 billion worth of gold have left on trucks over the last month. And in this June delivery cycle, over 12 billion has stood for delivery. That's not weakness. That is accumulation. The charts may look scary, brother, but the behavior underneath, to me, looks very bullish. Paper market is trying to paint fear to all of us by pushing down the price, while, I don't know, the physical market is quietly saying, fine, I'll take the metal. And to me, this isn't weakness. This is accumulation under cover of a falling price. It's textbook misdirection. And I think, you don't see opportunities when things feel good. Usually appear when things look broken. But the fundamentals underneath it are getting stronger. You can see it, not just in the accumulation, but in the reasons to do it. Inflation and raging and markets. The breadth of the market is unlike anything I've ever seen. You have a divergence between the Dow Jones and the S&P 500, the largest divergence in history ever. The Dow Jones are the stocks that are the legacy stocks, like Johnson & Johnson, the core of the country. They're falling, whereas the S&P 10 stocks, largely 7, that are all tech induced, are holding up like on the tip of a pin. They're holding everything up the inverted pyramid underneath it. It's scary right now. I get it. It is.
I would like to point out we've not seen that accumulation of that top 20% holding up all of it since, the dot-com bust. It wasn't even that lopsided in the 2008 crash.
Right. And then you have the changing of the rules where for this IPO that comes out of SpaceX, it used to be you had to be an accredited investor, minimum $500,000 investment to get these kind of IPOs. So they're now changing it to $2,000 limit minimum. So they're opening it up to anyone who's got a 401k, basically. Anyone who's got a stock, an IRA or the ability to buy stocks, you can now take, if you're lucky enough to get the allocation, you too can buy some of this IPO. And you get all these people flooding into just a small segment. While it looks like everyone's dumping gold, yet someone is standing for possession for $12 billion worth. For 19 straight months, we've been seeing this shit. For 19 straight months. Someone's standing for delivery for billions every month, but no one mentions that. They just look at the greatest tool of misdirection, which is price. You want to misdirect people, screw with the price. But what happens underneath
I've seen it in my own community. People are falling for it.
Yeah, they are. Well, and it's a very powerful tool. It's the same thing as the person on your block who's got a huge mouth, who always lets you know how he or she feels, but is completely and totally ill-informed. Doesn't even spend time to understand what it is he or she is speaking about. Just following the headlines, and instead of understanding, the uninformed person who, the uninformed big mouth, or the uninformed person who talk about it, at least be informed. And I think that that's the same type of mentality by affecting through price. It's the ultimate tool of misdirection. If you can knock down the price, it creates this reality. But if the reality is the way that it is, why are buying at the level they are, and who's standing for physical possession when less than 1% of contracts ever with possession? My entire 36-year career, now all of a sudden you're getting billions and billions and billions and billions and billions every month, and it's been missed completely and totally. All of the narrative sidesteps who the hell is doing this. And To me, that's a bigger issue. So I don't know. I mean, if you look at it, we get inflation. Gold wins either way. If inflation moves today, gold will rise because the currency is getting destroyed. It's losing its purchasing power. Now, silver may even go better than that because it's both monetary and industrial. Now, if we got a deflation, some people think that's what you would have, like stagflation, the depression meets the printing press. In a deflationary scenario, gold still wins because people stop trusting paper promises and they demand something real, an asset with no counterparty risk. Now, silver in that moment or in that environment may lag because it's a scenario where, things are slowing down, the industrial side gets hit, but still benefits from the move into tangible assets. Not to mention one with shrinking supply and the fact that many people will turn to silver as gold perhaps becomes less affordable. But the bottom line with all this, Mark, is that pullbacks are uncomfortable. They don't change my thesis, and I think the real value, both gold and silver, they're not someone else's promise to pay, and this is why they matter. And then to your point, 19 straight months of the Chinese purchasing, well, that's important too. They bought 10 tons of gold in May, the largest monthly addition in over 18 months. So as the price is getting kneecapped again, here come the Chinese to buy more gold than they have in 18 months. This follows 8 tons acquired in the month of April. It's 19 straight months. And so people don't understand how big a ton is. It's 32,150 ounces. So if we take 32,150 times 4,500, that's 144,675,000 per ton. So if they bought 10 tons in May, well, that's 1,446,775,000 worth approximately. That's a crazy environment as far as I'm concerned. Kevin's telling me I have feedback from my microphone. Do you hear that?
Yeah, when you leaned up, it suddenly helped.
You know what? It just fell. That's why. All right. Thanks, Kevin. Cat 2's watching. It fell off. Thank you, buddy. Anyways, I was saying that's like over $1 billion worth of gold. What? Do I ever feel like I'm being watched?
You ever feel like being watched? Yeah.
I went, this was nuts. I walked into a Chrome's Heart. You know what Chrome's Heart is?
No.
Like this necklace here is Chrome's Heart. Chrome's Heart is it's a clothing store. I went into it in St. Bart's last week. I walked in and the guy's like, I watch all your stuff, man. And I'm like, and it never ceases to, I don't know, it's hard to rationalize, never ceases to freak me out. But yeah, I always feel like someone's watching, actually.
Yeah, no. And they usually are, which makes it even crazier. Cows Racing. Hi, Andy. Is there any validity that JP Morgan is putting silver into a trust? Physical, maybe paper?
I don't know exactly what that. I don't know exactly what that means. I don't know. I haven't heard that. Into what kind of a trust, I don't know. But I will tell you, there's a lot of rumor that they have cleaned up their short position, that they covered a 200 million ounce short position, and they've actually been going long. If anyone would benefit from silver's rise higher and kind of flip-flopping against the other commercial banks around the world, it would be JP Morgan. They would be the last one to fail, in my opinion.
I would agree on that one. Chop's Place just thanking you and I for the information.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, Stroobs, that is, yeah, okay. I don't like talking poorly about companies, etc., but I have found this one very interesting. Goldco lost a big class action suit. A lot of people have been getting some return money, which I think is a great thing. I'm going to say it again. You guys want to know you're getting a solid deal from a reputable person, just email them info@milesfranklin.com. Tell them you're part of the program. Get a latest price list. They'll jump through hoops for you.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that, buddy. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that lawsuit, but I'm sure that they probably got off kind of easy. But nonetheless, it's a step in the right direction, treating people fairly.
No, it's the only way to do business and stay in business. Treat everybody fairly.
Well, it goes around,
I
comes
believe.
around after all. You know, one of the things, you know, I was talking a lot about, God, you know, I'm saying to myself, if he really does back the treasury market with gold, it'll be one of the greatest calls I've ever made. I'm the only one who's been saying this for about a year now, that, you know, tying in the Genius Act with Judy Shelton's deal, the Genius Act suppressing the front end and of the curve, and the gold backing the back end, and Tether pushing the price of gold higher. All of this stuff. One of the things, you know, we're getting close to July 4th. I guess it doesn't have to happen July 4th, but one of the things that I saw the other day that really gave me a little bit of confidence that maybe this is where they're going is Kevin Warsh's key policy advisor. He hired a guy named Paul Winfrey, and he is a top economist who he's been around the block. He worked with Trump and all sorts of stuff, and the Heritage Foundation and all this kind of stuff. But there were a bunch of economists who wrote chapters for something called Project 25, a mandate for leadership. Mm-hmm. And he wrote the Federal Reserve chapter, and he explores returning to or running parallel with a gold standard to fight inflation and boom bust cycles. And he highlights, to me, the interesting part, gold convertible treasury instruments, in other words, gold bonds, as a transitional tool, redeemable at market gold prices. That's exactly what Judy Shelton is saying. And to have him as the first hire, I don't know, man. It's starting to look, maybe I got lucky with this one, kind of like talking about the BRICS 6 years ago. We'll see. We'll see. I still think the thesis is sound, regardless if he announces it July 4th or not. But if he does, boy, I'm going to have a lot of stuff to talk about. What does that say?
AI said about that 12 billion, the recipient of the 12 billion in the metals market's not a single company, but rather a strategic U.S. stockpile initiative called Project Volt, launched by Trump.
Yeah, well, that could be. We don't know that. We don't know that. It wouldn't surprise me. And if it's accumulated by the Treasury under the Exchange Stabilization Fund for national security, wouldn't need congressional approval. It could come in a clandestine matter like that. You work Andy, as hard as your son Josh does. No, he tries to work as hard as I do. We do it in a different way. You know, he's made me very proud. He's following in my footsteps, but like anyone in Miles Franklin, no one's really received anything easy here. You got to grind and work and earn your stripes. And that's been something that was very important to Josh from day one, as it is to Kevin, as it is to all of us here. And, you know, you do right, and what goes around comes around. So, no, he works hard, and it makes me happy to hear that. He's a good kid. Good kid, definitely.
As they say in the South, you want good, do good.
Yeah, man.
Question for Andy. Many economists say it's all computer manipulated by an algorithm. Is there a chance this is true, or are they just shorting the markets?
Well, a lot of that is true. I mean, you know, read the book Flash Boys. You end up having these computers that can front run everything, and algorithms that are, you know, working in milliseconds, front running markets, creating opportunities that would be very, very difficult, impossible for a trader. So to a large degree, that is true. It is the algorithms and the high frequency computers that run the market. It's a different market than it used to be. You know, when you had open outcry on the exchanges, now that's gone, and now it's just bing, 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 bing. So yeah, to a degree, that is true. Fundamentals are important, but certainly the way that markets are traded is very different.
Somebody just asking on the coins when you're going to be able to have those up and running.
I got to find that out. I'll find that out immediately. I know we have the machine. We've had issues with it, but I would suspect it'll be very soon. I'll find out on that, Mark. I promise.
Char just wants to say thanks to Doran for Miles Franklin saved from a massive loss with Gold Co.
Yeah, you know, it's a shame that companies have to be predatory. You know, it's just, all I can say is it's a federally non-regulated industry, and there are some companies that hide behind a reputation that is not justified. A lot of the complaints that some of these companies would receive once there is any sort of a reconciliation have to be whitewashed through NDAs. In other words, you clean up what you take down what you wrote and never write about it again, and we'll make you whole, thereby maintaining this illusion of a strong reputation. And so it's too bad that a lot of companies are doing this. But again, it's very easy without mentioning companies. I haven't talked about this for a while, but if you've bought quarter-ounce gold coins, that's the first telltale. Quarter-ounce gold coins from mints that you may know, Royal Canadian Mint or the UK Royal Mint, in designs that you can't find virtually anywhere else on any site, where you paid anywhere between, I mean, depending upon when you bought it, but let's just say typically if you were buying them recently, you would have paid $2,000 a piece for them, or in that neighborhood. If you bought them a few years ago, $900 to $1,500, always way above the melt value, because they were special coins, or silver coins that are in fractional sizes from 3/4 to 1.5, never 1 ounce, 3/4, 1 1/4, 1.5, 2 ounces. The mints make these special coins. They call them special, but what they really are is a company like Miles Franklin can own a die, a mold, which we do. We have the Canadian Iraqi 2-ounce coin. We sell them for less than the Maple Leafs. That's how they should be sold. Now, if I wanted to, I could say they're special coins, Mark. They're really special, and there's a limited mintage. The reason there's limited mintage is I bought the die, and I'm minting as many as I want, maybe 1 million, and that's, I got to buy 1 million ounces of silver. And
so wait, if we put your face on one side, mine on the other, could we get a premium?
Yeah, I don't know.
We get to go
I think
hang
you might have
out,
to sell them at a discount, man. I don't know. But anyways, that's what happens. And so if you feel that you've been taken advantage of, send us an email. We'll walk you through it. We'll look at it, no obligation. And you'll notice I don't speak about the companies that do this, because that's not my style either. But it's interesting. All of them follow this same model. The only other deviation from that would be like proof coins. Sometimes they'll push proof coins. But anyways, if you feel that you would like to find out if maybe you were taken advantage of, let us know. We'll help you.
Golfer Andy moved my former CO baby 401k to Miles Franklin New Directions. Clear the best financial move ever made. Value you and your wisdom.
Thank you. Appreciate that very much. I do.
Somebody else asked about a class action suit in New Direction. I've not heard anything on that. I'm wondering if they're referring to the gold.
No, that it's not a class. So what happened with that, and there are some things that are just flat out unfair. I'll explain, and to my knowledge, what I know of it. It's the law. It's old. One of the companies that I knew was Fugazi from day one. One of the storage facilities in Delaware, they were called First State, I think, something like that. I forgot the name, but the guy stole all the metal that was in it. He's in prison. And I knew they were bad news for various reasons early on. Never put anyone into them. And they were dragged into this class action lawsuit saying that, and it's the previous ownership, by the way, not even the current ownership in New Direction, that they should have been aware of it. Now, playing devil's advocate, if someone at Brinks or IDS or any of these depositories decide to abscond with people's metal and be gone with it, why is it that New Direction should be privy to that? They're not inside the vault. They're not there. It's a bunch of crap, to be honest with you. They're just trying to sweep everyone into it. But no, even if somehow they were found culpable to whatever degree, all of the money that they hold is held in a trust account, independent of what they do. They could get, let's just in theory say they got in trouble, they went out of business, all the money's in a trust account will get gobbled up like that by another entity. Now, the truth of the matter is simply this, that I think all custodians suck, and some suck less. Now, there is a new one that I have a tremendous amount of confidence in that is coming onto the scene. And I'm not even going to mention the name yet until they're ready to go. They're ready to go in some aspects, not in this. But when that moment comes, I would not be surprised to see me recommend everyone switch to this new custodian. I've had meetings with them about it. They're people I've worked with for 30 years. And I have a feeling that that might happen. But I will still stick to my belief that until this point, New Direction is better than all of them. And all of them have warts. And New Direction, I think, is better than the bunch. But that lawsuit is frivolous at best and has no bearing on anything any of you would have to worry about.
Yeah, well, you try to get as many people tagged as responsible as you can, so lawyers have more money to go after. Johnny just said my sister was scammed by Goldco and their collectible BS. Somebody else said, hey, I bought from years ago. If they're worried, is there something they should do or not do?
Yeah, all of those things, send us in a deal and we'll have someone contact you and go over your options and take a look at it. Sometimes if it's, you know, a couple, 2-3 years back, we can still help you. And that's just it. They call it collectible, but it's not collectible. It's creating an environment where we're supposed to believe that it's collectible, but it really isn't. And you know, the interesting thing is they prey on people through IRAs because they figure most of the people, the older folks, well, they'll just die with it. Their heirs will inherit it, won't know what to do, and they'll sell it. The few wheels that squeak, well, they get greased and then sign an NDA. So it's a crappy deal. And as far as I'm concerned, all of these companies are white collar crime, and all of them should go to jail. And I'd love to debate any single one of them, all of them. I'd love to debate their CEOs on a public forum, every one of them. And you know, you don't see any of the CEOs of any of these companies doing what I do, putting your face on the line and whatnot, so that you walk into ChromeSart and the guy says, I watch all your shit, all of it, you know, in another country. So it's like, be genuine, man. And none of them are. So, but send us that email. We'll be happy to help you.
info@milesfranklin.com if you guys are curious again. Fasted, Andy, is there any way to have exposure to the Shanghai exchange? Boy, I've gotten that one asked.
Short of moving to Shanghai, I have no idea how, to be honest with you. I have no idea how you would do that. No, sorry, I don't know.
Yeah, wish I had an answer for folks.
They do work with the public if you live in Shanghai, but I don't think that's going to happen very easily over here.
Reading a few of these, trying to is Glint still good? I still believe Glint's good.
Yeah, I mean, it is still good. I would have liked to see some more adoption by some states and whatnot, the technology, but I still own my Glint card. I still use it and still accumulate with it. Nothing wrong with it. Jason's a good guy and technology is sound. Yeah, it serves its purpose for sure.
Yeah, I see so many influencers out suggesting some of those crappy companies, and almost anybody that advertises has advertised for one that they wish they could take back and not advertise again for. But the money the gold companies were willing to pay me to kick you off the airwaves was something else.
Well, and you know, and that's kind of paying the devil, because I believe the people that look, if I hadn't come on these shows and told people how, I don't know, we've helped so many people, and these people are getting destroyed, harmed in a very meaningful way, you know, and that is a
people that have worked their whole lives.
Yeah, well, that's a reflection of the, you know, like I get promoted by a family office company that works with a bunch of family offices, and I talked with a guy last night. He's like, you know, simply because you're promoted by these guys, you don't have to explain anything. I trust you. Well, a lot of people who follow you feel the same way, Mark, and because you're a trustworthy guy, so they trust you. Well, it's a reflection of the person who's earned the trust of the people they're speaking to do right. And these companies are, as far as I'm concerned, is as egregious as anything I've ever seen in 36 years in business. I mean, it's theft. They should they should stand before a jury, as far as I'm concerned, a lot of them, because they know what they're doing. And it's you know, it's premeditated to the nth degree. So anyways, enough of that. Are you
knowledgeable about the handle Forex?
I have no idea what that is.
Is equity trust legit? Not one I'm familiar with.
Let me just say this. They're legit. They are far from my favorite. Far from my favorite. And I will say that many of I'll say this as politely and respectfully as I can. Many of the companies that we've seemed to have problems with seem to be associated, and I don't know if associated is the right word. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, because Equity Trust in their infinite wisdom deems it appropriate to promote companies on their website, precious metals companies. That's my opinion, unethical. And many of these companies are less than, let's just say, straightforward. I would say if it were me, they would be at the very bottom of my list. And I think they've earned that reputation as far as I'm concerned, personally. And, you know, that's as honest as I can be.
Yeah, just take it there. A lot of folks saying, hey, when metal prices do shoot up, where do they sell it?
We can buy back anything people want to sell.
Yeah, there's so many companies and places to sell your silver. Just it'll be time to consider the price they're willing to give you when that happens.
Yeah, and I think that what we saw the last time where bid prices were so low was a function of the public that had held on for the wrong reasons. They've all bailed. And so you had more selling than you did buying, which created an environment of very low bid prices, along with margin increases and all of the things that created an environment I've never seen before of distorted bid prices. I would say that that's something I would not expect to see this next time. Sorry, the hiccups. This next time, as the public wakes up and is trying to accumulate, I think there'll be more buying than selling this next time around, where bid prices will go the other direction.
Is Northern Trust a good one?
I can tell you, I can tell you, I don't know them to be a bad one. I don't know if Northern Trust allows for physical metal holding. Some do, some don't. The fact that I haven't heard of them is probably a good gauge.
Vicky, my husband is a retirement through Fidelity Vanguard. Can we exchange that to silver? A lot of people are starting to ask these questions. At what point do they get to change those?
Well, if it's a 401k, you'll have a harder time if you're still working there. If it's an IRA, yes, you can do it anytime you'd like. 401ks, if you no longer work for that entity, you should switch it to a self-directed IRA regardless, meaning you can self-direct the investment rather than being in a basket of funds. And I remember during the pandemic, my nephew had an account, has a 401k with Fidelity. And he called me as the market was collapsing in March of 2020. What do I do? What do I do? I said, listen, man, why don't you just call him and tell me you want to sit on the sidelines, go to cash for a little bit. Let's see what happens. And this was like a Thursday. And he called me back and said, texted me. He's like, I'm on hold for 2 hours. And he's like, they finally called me back and said that they're so overloaded that I have to take an appointment on Tuesday of the following week, that they'll call me back at 8 a.m. or whatever. So, that's someone who's employed at a company that uses Fidelity as their custodian for the 401k administration. What if you're not employed anymore? How far down that list of priority do you go? My feeling is that if you're no longer working at a company, you still have the 401k shell, get out, get into a self-directed IRA. But the answer is, if it's not a 401k or you don't work there anymore and it's a dormant 401k, then yes, you can roll over to a self-directed IRA and purchase metals very easily.
I always like this one. It's not to change the subject, but have you picked up any cool baseball cards?
I haven't got any in a while. I always look. There's a couple that I want. I want a shoeless Joe Jackson. That's one card I want for my collection that I don't have, like the 1908 Black Sox. I don't have one of those. And then the ones that I see are always pretty darn expensive, a little overpriced in my book. But no, I haven't. I mean, I love what I have. I kind of got what I want, but I'm always looking, and you never know. If the next one I get, I'll let you know. But that would be the top of my list, Shoeless Joe.
Yeah, it's pretty sad when they, couldn't even afford to pay him enough to buy shoes back in the day.
Yeah, well, he did throw the World Series, so he's a black sheep. That's why they were called the Black Sox.
Marcia, that doesn't make much sense. What number do you use? If you call Miles Franklin, says not working number. Did you call 952-929-7006?
Yep, that would be the best one to call.
And if you're wondering on that one, it's like sitting, right there on their website, milesfranklin.com.
Yes.
Let's see. New Directions keep going up in their fees with metal prices increasing. There's going to be a lot of change.
Their fees are next to nothing, though. I mean, you can store $1 million worth of gold there for like $275 a year. It's ridiculously cheap.
What's Andy's email again to get in touch with? We're using info@milesfranklin.com.
Yes, and if it's directed to me, then you'll want to put something in the subject line, must speak with Andy or whatever, and it will get to me. Last time I put my own email address out there, I'd get like 2,500 emails, and it's very difficult just to keep up as is. So the ones that are important will get to me, I promise.
Now I just saw another one in here. Now, what did I do with it? Happy fingers. Let's see. Are the Silver Eagles I purchased over the weekend 2026s?
I don't know.
From Kevin.
I don't know. Kevin's probably watching. And if anyone can figure it out, it would be him. If it says on the invoice 2026, they are. If it doesn't, they're not. The 2026s would be a couple dollars more than the back dates, which to me is stupidity, really. I mean, because they're all the same condition. Why pay for in 2027? The 2026s will be back dates, will be worth less. So it's just it's a weird thing that the mint charges a little bit more than the back dates.
Somebody asking about AP Max. I've never heard anything negative.
They're a good company. I got nothing bad to say about them.
Yeah, there's a couple out there that. Oh, let's see. I just emailed Zana to check on the phone number.
Yeah.
There you go. Zana does a heck of a job. For you guys that want to know, that is Andy's better half.
She is. She does. I've been telling her she should just let go enjoy her life. But my company wouldn't be where it is without her help along the way. So I doubt she's watching, but if she were, she deserves the credit.
Andy, what's the store name that starts with Chrome?
Hearts, Hearts, Chrome Hearts.
Boy, a lot of people. Hey, any thoughts? When are we going to get that silver price? When are we going off stuck and sideways?
I'm interviewing this at noon today. Michael Oliver. Michael is saying 300 to 500 starting this summer, like any day now. So we'll see what he has to say about that. And he's the momentum structural analysis, and he's sticking to his guns.
Hey, Deutsche Bank said it. JP Morgan said the 3 to 5. I think about like 3 of the big 5 all said 300 to 500 by fall.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens, man. We'll see, but I've always thought it's risky to look. We live in a world of probabilities, not absolutes, and I think the probability is we see those numbers, but when? I mean, in a debased dollar, all bets are off. But to find a time period and pigeonhole yourself, it can take away from people following what is otherwise very sound advice. If you're wrong, if you're right, you'll go down as as a profit.
Fox, my man, why metal storage costs monthly costs more and self-directed IRS storage costs less? Makes sense to me. One's not changing.
Because he has two accounts, I take it. One
self-directed and another one's an IRA.
Well, he has one, and then one that's his own, and then one is an IRA, because the every other storage, the main cost with storage facilities is insurance. And so as the price of what you are insuring goes higher, so too does the storage cost. The IRA companies offer, or the depositories offer, what I believe to be potentially, it potentially could be an issue. Who knows in terms of how they how their model works financially, but the depositories will offer the IRA custodians what would otherwise be deals that you couldn't get outside the IRA, because it's a constant funnel of business. And so, for example, IDS of Dallas will say $275 or whatever the number is, unlimited amount, fully segregated. In an IRA, you try to open up, so you put $1 million in there, they're saying it's $270. You open up an account with them outside the IRA, and you'll end up paying for that same amount 40 or 50 basis points, which is a whole lot more. You're talking 4,000 or 5,000 a year. So you can't compare the two. It's a way for them to guarantee a whole bunch of business. And if price really kept going higher, I could see them rapidly changing their model, or just eliminating that type of fixed IRA price, because at some point you're losing money on the insurance side of it. So anyways, moral of the story is the IRAs get sweetheart deals from the vaults, and they figure maybe some of these will turn into long-term clients outside the IRAs, but totally different models.
Yeah. Boy, Clint, one, you got a really cool hobby here, but there's a really good reason. I bought pounds and pounds of junk silver from Miles Franklin. I refine it, but you guys won't buy it back as 99.99 fine, because to buy it 99, you're buying from certified refineries, etc. Now, I've known a lot, being in the industry, a lot of people would kind of field refine or whatever before they would sell, and after a time, the assayers would start giving them a little higher percentage because they didn't have to question impurities, etc. But yeah, that's today's
the
world.
problem.
It's an awesome hobby, but
it is, and it's like ISO. There's a qualification. I think it's ISO, or in other words, COMEX or NYMEX approved. So if we buy it back and take his word for it, we can't do that, and it would be very difficult to assay whatever he's sending in constantly, and assume that it's uniform. It is a cool hobby. He would have to get accredited in terms of a refinery in order to guarantee that what he is selling is 3.9 fine. Quite frankly, if you're buying junk silver, in my mind, you're better off holding it, waiting for the premium to come back, which ultimately it will. But I think you would have that problem with anybody, my man, anybody, because you can't prove to them that that's what it is, and
until they send it off to be refined.
Right, and then again, it's their word versus well, no, it wasn't, and it was almost. There's too many variabilities.
Campfire was just, somebody was asking for your suggestions in mining stocks again, and then
I own that one myself. No financial advice, but I do own it, and I've owned it for a long time. Yeah, that's a decent one.
Now I could see this one. They're talking about wanting the 2026 ones because the 250th anniversary. That actually makes a bit of sense.
Yeah, then you just want to, if you want current year, you have to always say, I want current year Eagles, because they're going to be a little bit more money.
What vault does Miles Franklin work with? They work with IDS, Dallas Equity Trust Custodian.
Well, we have our own Brinks facility. We have a Brinks program with 9 Brinks vaults around North America, but that's not for IRAs. For IRAs, the better question is, what vaults do the custodians work with, like New Direction? The ones that I prefer are the least expensive is IDS, and they're a massive company owned by Dillon Gage. They're fully segregated. There are others that don't segregate, like Delaware Depository does not segregate IRA silver. They allocate it, so it's pooled. If you're going to have metal in an IRA, you got to have it segregated. To me, period. End of story. Mic drop. No questions asked. No nothing. If you want to save a little money for unallocated, go for it. But it's to your own detriment. You want it segregated in your name. And IDS, because it's a massive facility in Dallas, their biggest, they have the ability to do so. That's what I would use in an IRA. But outside the IRA, our program is through Brinks.
Easy question, Andy. Is there a mailing address we can send you something? People that want to send you from shirts to baseball cards,
Yeah,
you name it.
It's let me give you the address. It's One Town Center. Just a minute. Got to give you the actual address. It is One Town Center. Hey, Alana. I think we're Suite 590. And One Town, here it is. One Town Center, Boca Raton 33486. And I think we are Suite 590. Let's just run with that. I'm pretty sure we are.
One Town Center, Suite 590, Boca Raton, Florida 33486.
Yes.
Yeah, mining stocks. Boy, they have flat gotten beat up. I think they've got a tremendous amount of value to be uncorked. Your thoughts?
It's they're down to advice. The lowest sentiment index, down to 0 that I've ever. It's never been that low. You know, my mentor Richard Russell and also Rick Rule have said the same thing, that, you know, fortunes are made when blood running through the streets. You don't make money when everyone's buying it. You make money when these are companies that are printing cash.
And, yeah, they're printing cash right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's never been a better time to own mining shares. And if it were me, I'd focus on the majors and the royalty companies like Wheaton Precious Metals and Royal Gold and Franco-Nevada. These are royalty companies. Then the majors, you know, Newmont and Barrick and the big ones. Those are the ones that I would focus on right now.
Hey, Andy, have you met Patrick Bet-David? He's in your area and a big baseball fan.
I'm actually going on he invited me on his show next month in July. Yeah, he is a part owner of the Yankees. That's one I'm a little nervous about. I mean, that's big time. Yes, I haven't met him, but they contacted me, and I'm going on his show in July.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's got like 3 million followers on Instagram.
Wow.
I don't know how many YouTube followers, but he's interesting, smart, self-made guy.
Yeah, I'll be looking that one up. Well, yeah, I don't know how much time we have yet. I'd imagine we're starting to run short on time. Let's see.
Another few minutes.
Yeah, you know you're going to get asked whether you're joining for whiskey tonight, whether you have time or not.
Well, I'll try my best. You know, I got my in-laws staying at my house.
What he's saying is, guys, he's enjoying some really high quality time with the wife's family, so he probably won't make it tonight.
I'll try. I think about it every night. Like, oh crap, it's starting right now. I'll try my best. I will. Send me the link.
I'll send it in case you need the excuse. Even if you give me a heads up, I'll start blowing up your phone going, man, you're supposed to be here.
The Texas Bullion Depository, I do believe segregates. In an IRA, I'm not 1,000% positive, but I do believe they do.
I'm just reading a few of these. They're just great. Boy. Yeah, stock market is taking a heck of a drop right now. People asking if gold's going to drop to 3,500.
It could. Short term, why not? I mean, who knows? Then go wherever it wants, but it's being bought up. when you see over 12 billion delivered in the June contract, I mean, that should tell you all you need to know. Nothing else matters. These people, I mean, look, if you were trying to accumulate all this shit, like if you're the US government or any big entity and you had the ability to knock the paper price down, knock all the competition out of the market, and then accumulate billions and billions and billions and billions worth when no one really figures what's going on. I don't know, kind of seems convincing to me. Or, you know, you want to really take a stretch and find a link between conspiracy and reality. How does Tether fit into all of this? You know, Bo Hines, Trump's former crypto czar, is the CEO of USA Tether. They bought more gold than anyone but the country of Poland the last 2 years. Could it be? Wink, wink, nod, nod. You're going to take all the interest that you get by buying our treasuries to keep the rates low, and you're going to buy gold to devalue the dollar, and that gold is going to be sold back to the treasury, but you guys will make unlimited money without any problems from us. And here's Bo Hines to oversee things. Keep buying the gold to devalue the dollar, and maybe it will be used to peg the back end of the bond market, like Judy says. I'm just saying, could that be it? We'll see soon. But I think that this is classic misdirection. If price was truly reflective of value, then who in God's green earth is spending $12 billion? It's not who, what entities. I don't care who it is or whose it is, whom's. They don't screw around at that level. They just don't. And this is every single month.
That's like China buying 370,000 ounces, like 11.5 tons more of gold. Russia is set to become the largest gold producer in the world over the next few months to a year. They believe they can knock everybody off. Where's that gold going?
Yeah, well, and the same thing, you get not only do you get no journalistic integrity, you get the opposite. You get flat out misinformation, where Bank of India just came out and said, bullshit to Bloomberg. We did not sell 12.5 tons of gold. We haven't sold any gold, and your story is wrong. And they dispute it. So, I mean, you can't believe what the mainstream is saying. You just can't. And that's the hard part. I applaud all of the people watching this show, and that they're already different from their neighbors and friends and family because they have open minds. And I say it all the time. You can be very intellectual and dumb. And you can be not very intellectual and smart. Have an open mind, see things, listen, change your opinion based upon listening to and learning from other people and other facts that most people are closed-minded to. And so they learn more and more about less and less till they know everything about nothing. So we shall see. What does that say?
Andy, would you recommend converting MS63 and 4 St. Gardens new asthmatic to straight gold rounds?
Not yet. No. I mean, in 2007 with $1,000 gold, I would have paid you $800 premium for those. So and Gold Eagles would have been $1,075. So yeah, you would have almost gotten 2 for 1. Right now, no. There's no VIG. It's actually better to buy those coins right now for under the price of a Gold Eagle, which I've never seen in 36 years. So it's opposite, unfortunately, right now.
I like that one, Jamie. All right. So, yeah, good question. Are more people selling than buying right now? Have we hit that one?
No, that happened. That happened in January and February as the price was going higher. Everyone bailed who bailed. No, we're not getting that right now. In fact, we're getting more buying than selling. I would argue those that sold. And that is, you know, those weak hands have been flushed out. So no, we're not.
Boy, I love this one. It's a great one to part with here, Andy. How long did it take to repair the bathroom damage from your daughter's toilet paper New Year partying?
It took almost, 6 months because we had several rooms ripped down to the studs. Yeah, that was an interesting one. You know, laying on the couch, January 1st, after going to bed at 3, 4 in the morning, having a cup of coffee, half awake, knowing I'm going golfing in a couple hours, only to say to my wife said, "Get your ass up. Now we have a problem." Never a good way to start your morning. Get your ass up. Now we have a problem.
Yeah.
When I walked into the spare bedroom, underneath her bedroom, there was a ceiling fan. I could have taken a bottle of shampoo and took a shower underneath that fan as the water was just flowing out of it.
Oh, God.
And
I
you
shouldn't
go
be
up into
laughing.
there's this much water across the whole uniform, across her whole floor, and the toilet's still overflowing. Had been for 10 hours. So yeah, that was
Oh. Unfortunately, homeowners and homeowners with teenagers can attest.
Yeah, indeed.
Kurt, if you don't feed them, they leave.
Bah, that's all it takes.
Yeah,
How about
we
your
didn't love
wife? How does that work with your wife?
Not as well.
Right.
Then you don't get to eat or have a house.
So you're saying I shouldn't try that?
No.
Okay.
God knows.
Mark told me to do it.
I know Zana, she would just laugh if you told her that, but
Yeah, she'd lock me out and change the locks. I'll send me the link, brother. I will do my best to make an appearance, and always enjoy seeing you. And you know, the old Chinese curse, may you live in interesting times. These are.
Yeah, sure. Man, Tattoo, I'll send you a link too in case you want to take advantage of the opportunity to bash on Andy some if he doesn't make it.
Mm-hmm. Tattoo would never miss an opportunity to do that.
It's I send him a link pretty much every week just in case, because he has popped on a time or two randomly, and it was just great.
Right on. I'll do my best, my man. I'll do my best. Maybe even get my father-in-law to come on and say hello.
Oh, that'd be even better. We appreciate you greatly, Andy. Again, Andy from Miles Franklin, milesfranklin.com. Just mention the MarkZ show. Email them info@milesfranklin.com to get their absolute best price list. Or if you just have questions about a 401k and IRA,
anything. Yeah. Anything you've heard on this show or any questions, info@milesfranklin. Make sure you put MarkZ. And until next time, my man, I'll look forward to picking up where we left off.
Take care.
See you, bro.
See you. Guys, that was Andy Schectman from over at Miles Franklin. I know we got Cheryl, a birthday or two, and then we've got Zester, who was in the back office. He's been preparing something kind of cool, and I'm interested in this one. Market fluctuations, etc. But I want to see how he did with like new graphics and stuff. Some new tools out there. See, Patriot Snow Wolf's sister Angela's 55th. My kid's 1821. When you reading some of these, time to sing and let him rip. So they tell me it's your birthday. Well, happy birthday, darling. May you live, may you love, make all your dreams come true. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you. To all those celebrating. See Ken, Linda saying, brother-in-law Ken, see some birthdays in there. Now let's bring in this guy. I should have brought you in first so you could sing. They seem to like it when you sing.
I don't know. I think that the folks just like giving you a hard time with it and, you know, turning it into a competition.
They said they like listening to you sing more than they like listening to Barney the dinosaur singing. That's pretty impressive.
But no. How are you doing this morning, Pops?
Yeah, I'm good.
And what's up, everybody out there? Hope everyone's having an awesome Trump Day.
Yeah, it is. Like that's become his name for Wednesdays instead of Hump Day. He calls them Trump Day.
Yeah, well, I don't know if he wants the title today because, yeah, markets are really, really rough. CPI data dropped. We've got the worst inflation in over 3 years. And so,
and guys, that was expected, though, because of fuel costs. Now, remember, the same mainstream press that's freaking out did not freak out. They told you this was totally transitory and okay, and you should just suck it up and gladly pay it in 2022, 2023, all those years when it was considerably higher. But hey, if you want to freak out, it's your right.
Well, the markets are definitely taking advantage of that right today. But I think it was expected. Markets were pricing this one in. It seems like the only one that wasn't pricing this in already heavily was the stock market. And I don't know, precious metals were already kind of pricing in. Same thing over on crypto.
Yeah, precious metals started pricing in some time ago.
And
if you guys wonder what I mean by that, Metals.
The biggest fear now is it confirmed that now everyone's going to be afraid of interest rate hikes coming. And so it set that into motion. And now there's going to be this little fear behind all the big traders' heads that hikes are coming.
Yeah, which usually means the market's going to do a weird sideways dance is what that usually means. And preceding these changes, you usually see people selling metals to cover other concerns or raise cash. So metals usually take a little dip before they go up. This is like market clockwork. Everything's a cycle. And I think you're going to be talking about some of that today.
About to say that just so happens to be exactly what I'm going to be talking about today is market cycles. And yeah, the fact that crypto did not invent the idea of market cycles, neither did the stock market nor precious metals. Market cycles are normal, and they are definitely, though, going through changes right now. So yeah, that's what I was going to jump into today and kind of present the argument over whether which I'm really not settled on either side, over whether crypto has officially broken out of the 4-year cycle it had been in, or whether the 4-year cycle looks like it's going to maintain itself.
Yep. I'm going to turn it loose and sit here and troll in the background.
All right. I might drag you up here. There's a few interesting points, I think. I might need to drag you up for your opinion.
Wait until you catch me picking my nose, all right?
Will do. Howdy, everybody. And so for those that have not been checking any of the different news outlets for the past few days, crypto is absolutely crashing, along with now, on account of the CPI data, the stock market, precious metals, everything is currently a sea of red. But crypto's been busy crashing for the past week and a half or so. I wanted to take this opportunity to kind of educate everyone on the typical 4-year cycle in cryptocurrency. And then also for us to look at whether that cycle is going to repeat itself, or because of the mainstream adoption of cryptocurrency that came with the Trump administration, whether something has inherently or fundamentally changed. And so to start off, let's look at just how bad it is. And guys, it is particularly unpleasant to be checking out. Bitcoin down 17% this week alone. XRP in exactly the same boat. Ethereum along with it. Matter of fact, since all-time high, Bitcoin is now down 51% from the top just during this cycle, from 126,200 on October 7th of 2025. We're now sitting more than 51% below that. And every few years, crypto does this exact same dance. We see a quiet accumulation. Nobody notices. We see it start to rip up higher. That's the time period where everyone thinks that they timed the market. Everyone's a genius. And then we get right back to where we're at now, where we've got this complete blowout. And we've got people saying that Bitcoin is dead. Crypto is dead. The obituaries for Bitcoin are in the multitude of thousands over just its short lifetime. And well, the cycle ends up going back to the beginning, and we end up at a new all-time high. It's a cycle, and understanding it is probably the single most valuable thing that I could possibly teach you on a day like today, because looking at the overall market and trying to pick out winners today is just not going to be any fun. So let's look at the typical 4 phases of a market cycle. This is not unique to cryptocurrency. This is just the typical 4 stages. And so first, we would have accumulation. This is the quiet after the crash. Prices are flat. Nobody cares. Market is trading sideways. It's boring. And this is typically where we've got investors accumulating. We've got the quiet folks, the people that are buying while nobody's covering it, while we don't see news coverage and we don't see any kind of new all-time highs. Then we move into the overall markup. This is when price starts to break out, starts to head up. Momentum is building. We start to see news stories. We start to see people in your life, your friends, acquaintances. Everybody is talking about it. And everybody that's buying feels like they just can't lose. Then we get into distribution. Now, this is the top typically of the market cycle. This is where the folks that were buying during accumulation, this is where they sell, take their large profit. And this is also the point where you start to get into euphoria. This is where everybody that you talk to, your Uber driver has got a token, he's got a coin, and you need to buy it today. You go to get your hair cut, and it's the only thing being talked about in the barbershop. This is where people are massively leveraging. This is where people are putting too much money into certain cryptocurrencies. Everyone thinks they're going to be a millionaire. And of course, what comes right after that phase, that's when we move into the bust. The markdown, the music stops, leverage unwinds violently. We see massive, massive liquidations. And that is where we see what has typically been in cryptocurrency, a 70 to 90% price reduction. This is where we get the Bitcoin obituaries. This is where we get a lot of people very, very, very upset. And this is essentially when people have capitulated. They give up, they quit paying attention to it, the media moves away, and we go right back to where we started. Accumulation once again starts to occur. This is the same cycle that occurs in every other market. This isn't a crypto invention. This is every speculative market in human history. This is everything from the tulips of the 1600s, the railroads in the 1800s, the dot-com bubble in the 90s, to just the flat-out stock market. This is the same cycle we see. Now, every single different market has a different flavor to it. It has a different timeline, but all markets have cycles. And the cycle in just about everything is not related to the actual commodity or asset, whatever is being traded back and forth. The market cycle is something that is ingrained into us as human beings in some form or fashion, it would see. It's fear and greed on a loop. Now, with crypto, that loop runs fast because it is a 24/7 market. It's got pretty much unrestricted access to leverage, and there is no circuit breaker in the back to be pulled. And so with crypto, it's just always occurred faster. But that doesn't make crypto in any way unique from other assets. And so let's look at this one. In particular, let's look at what has been the historical cycle of cryptocurrency. And we're going to do that by primarily focusing on Bitcoin because it does still really lead the market. The market follows Bitcoin up and it follows Bitcoin back down. So let's look at it all. Let's look back in 2011. We saw the all-time high at that point for Bitcoin of $31 a Bitcoin back in 2011. We then were followed by a 94% crash. Bitcoin went from $31 to $2 a pop, 94% crash on the cycle. 2013 to 2015, we saw $1,150 Bitcoin in 2013, another big old high. It then crashed all the way back to 170, an 85% retraction. This was during the Mt. Gox collapse era. And this was when we first got any real mainstream stories talking about the death of that funny internet currency, Bitcoin. Of course, we know that it did not die. Fast forward to the next cycle, 2017 to 2018. This is where most everybody out there started to learn about crypto. This was really the market cycle that got the most attention. And that's where we saw $19,700 Bitcoin in 2017. We then saw the entire crash back down with the ICO bubble. At that point, everybody was sitting there talking about it. The crash and the boom all occurred around the holiday season. And so we had, your crazy uncle that you've never heard talk about anything technology related. He was talking about his recent Bitcoin purchases. We saw $19,700 crash to $3,200, an 84% retraction. All right, fast forward 2021. We see the all-time high at that point hit $69,000. What happens right after that? We collapse down to $15,500 per Bitcoin, a 77% drop. During this one, we had FTX collapse, we had Luna collapse, we had Celsius collapse, we had literally a domino style leverage daisy chain explosion occur, and we saw a new drop. Now, if you'll notice one thing here, guys, you'll notice that essentially we have pretty much been going on a little bit of an odd type 4-year cycle, especially between 2017, 2021, and 2025. We literally have it's almost like it's pre-designed, preset, where we're essentially having a new all-time high and then a very, very similar contraction bout down before we then go for that new all-time high, essentially on a 4-year cycle. Now today, 2025, what are we looking at? Well, 2025, I should say, that was when, if we're following the cycle, we saw our all-time high. That was $126,200 on October 7th of 2025. What are we currently sitting at today? $61,500, 51% retraction from our all-time high. Now, notice this across all of it. Every single peak is massively higher than the last. And every single bottom is also higher than the last. And so we went 2, 170, 3,200, 15,500 on our bottoms across the chart. We went 31, 1,150, 19,700. Same thing on our top end. The roller coaster is violent, but the roller coaster continues to head upwards. And so that's the long-term view that is often lost during times like this, when you're looking at entirely red markets and everything is massively down, and some things are down as much as 51% or even more than that. And so this is what has been the accepted cycle in crypto, literally up to just this recent year. Now is where people are starting to question whether the cycle will continue, but we're going to get to that when I'm going to present an argument both for and against. And so, what is actually driving this rhythm, this 4-year cycle? Well, it's the Bitcoin halving that has been doing it, because Bitcoin's code cuts the supply of new coins in half every 4 years. This is not a vote. This is not a committee. It is built into the code. It will happen. And so when we look at this, we can go back and we can look at the halving dates, and we can look at what the Bitcoin rewards were during that phase. And so go back to 2009. Bitcoin is brand spanking new. There was an overall release for miners, people who were mining, who were providing and validating transactions on the Bitcoin blockchain. There was 7,200 Bitcoin that was rewarded as mining fees per day. Now, move forward to 2012, November of 2012, that got cut in half. And so when it actually went to is it started at 50, it went to 25, 12.5, 6.25, and now, as of right now, we are sitting at 3.125 Bitcoin as a block reward. And so that means there's about 450 Bitcoin that enter into circulation per day as a matter of Bitcoin miners. And so that went from 7,200 new Bitcoin per day in 2011 to 450 per day as of right now. That will further be cut in 2028, where it will then go down to 1.5625 Bitcoin per block reward. And so this is what is always been the major driving factor behind it, because, and here's the overall theory, demand stays steady, but supply gets cut in half, upward pressure builds. This, of course, starts getting a lot of attention. We see rising price, wakes the media. Everybody starts to get into that markup phase. Everybody starts buying. Everybody's a genius. We then go into step 3. Everybody's euphoric. Everybody's throwing way too much money. Everybody's taking advantage of leverage. And then what happens? It all goes bust and we start back over. But what is actually following it, the metronome behind the entire cycle, is actually the Bitcoin halving. Because we're not seeing a reduction in demand every 4 years. We're seeing an increase in demand every 4 years, but we're seeing supply cut in half. And so this is why it's not random that we have a 4-year cycle. It is essentially, if we were playing, musical chairs, it's the music for the entire game. Now, ready to get really, really, really freaked out about how well maintained this entire cycle has been. This one, I think, is going to get folks. And so here's the part that will most likely give some goosebumps. If the cycle were just vibes, the tops would land randomly, but they're not. And so 2016 to 2017, we saw that the peak from halving, we had 525 days from halving to the 2017 peak. Let's move to 2020. We had 546 days between the Bitcoin halving and the 2021 Bitcoin price peak. All right, 2024 halving. We had 536 days between the Bitcoin halving of 2024 and the Bitcoin all-time high of October 2025. 525, 546, 536. 3 different eras. Retail mania in 2017. We had all the COVID money and all of that in 2021. 2025, it's Wall Street. It's ETFs. These are all totally different buyers, totally different worlds. And the top landed in virtually the same week of the cycle every single time. The October 2025 peak that everyone called a new paradigm, it arrived right on schedule. And so far, so has this crash. And so whenever you hear, anybody saying that the cycle is officially dead, they need to see this slide. They need to do this research because it seems like the cycle is not dying. And so let's jump in to it, though. Let's see what is currently going on. We're going to try and figure out where exactly we're at, guys, and what we can expect to come in the future. Because at this point, I hope that it's fairly evident that, yes, there is obviously something going on here. There is a cycle, whether it is just some kind of massive coincidence, whether I've picked out the right factors and contributing to it. It is happening. And so let's see what that means. If we were to follow along with this overall idea, let's just take a walk through the overall wave of emotions, your brain on crypto. Where are we at in the entire phase of a cycle? And so it goes all the way starting disbelief, hope, belief, thrill, euphoria. And then, of course, that is when things start to turn back down. And so be honest with yourself, guys. Where do you feel that you are at overall in terms of this cycle, in terms of feelings? And so the market doesn't just cycle in prices. Market cycles are often judged by a metrics such as the overall price. But what's also going on throughout a market cycle is honestly an emotional roller coaster. And so as it does, euphoria, that's our top. Capitulation, that's our bottom. The greatest investors are not some kind of genius that knows exactly when to buy. They just understand the overall market cycle. They've learned to read the wave. Warren Buffett has the great quote when it comes down to this one: be fearful when others are greedy, greedy when others are fearful. Look at the fear and greed index today and draw your own conclusions. And so, where are we at right now? Unfortunately, we are sitting right here in full on panic on our way to capitulation, depression, and then we'll be back in that overall accumulation phase if the market cycle follows as it has in the past. Now, this is where it gets interesting. If the market cycle is breaking, then everything that I have presented to you could potentially be entirely untrue. This could be a history lesson and far less of a learning experience in regards to market conditions to be looking at in the future. And this is really the big conversation. This is the big question. And we really aren't certain. We've got talking heads in both directions. And so let's just kind of break down what we do know. Okay. Supply math has overall changed. New BTC is issued daily. We are at 450 coins, massively down from where it used to be. Supply at this point in time is massively reduced, but demand is massively increased, regardless of what you consider in terms of the overall market. Sorry, I just saw that little message that popped up on the screen there. Got me for
couldn't resist. Another troll that refuses to actually read, study, research. You gotta love them. They're a special kind of idiot. All right, I'm going away again.
Yeah, and so these are all thoughts about the cycle having actually, well, not already broken, but that it is essentially breaking. And so some other examples of that. The pattern has broken before. And so Bitcoin hit an all-time high before the 2024 halving. That was for the first time in crypto history. And in 2025 became the first post-halving year to ever finish red. The golden window playbook failed. And so while we're looking at certain parts of this cycle, and I'm saying, look, these things are all occurring the same way that they have before, we have had things occur that were not expected. That would be one excellent example was the all-time high right before the 2024 halving for Bitcoin that had never occurred before, and that breaks the rules. Now, buyers have changed. And so back in 2016, 2017, 2018, 2020, 2021, all of this time period, crypto was primarily purchased by retail investors. And that's you, me, and everybody in between. But it wasn't the big boys game. It wasn't major financial institutions. And that is no longer the case today. Now institutions are 83% of all trading volume on Coinbase. In 2020, they were 50%. In 2017 and 2018, they were somewhere around 10%. And so this is massively changing the landscape. Wall Street doesn't chase parabolas. It rebalances every single quarter. It's an entirely different animal. It's not gold in hands, hodl for the moon. Like retail investors, they take an entirely different approach to the entire process. And so with that, they're saying that, hey, this is an argument that the cycle is broken. They're saying, hey, it doesn't add up. Demand is not just slightly increased based off of the idea of the halving. It's dramatically increased because of the attention that cryptocurrency has received. The buyer has changed. The pattern has technically broken. And a lot of very, very, very big wealthy people out there are claiming that the cycle theory is no longer valid. We've heard it from big names, Standard Chartered, Bernstein, Grayscale, Fidelity Digital Assets, Cathie Woods, who's a really, really big Bitcoin maximalist, Arthur Hayes, Raoul Pal. These are not small names, and their argument is that the cycle has broken because of mainstream adoption, and institutions and their money are inherently going to change it. But to be honest, their arguments really aren't that strong. But what they're essentially saying is that the 4-year cycle is over, but that the bull market isn't. And so they're still forecasting, this group of people are still forecasting $130,000 to $200,000 Bitcoin by the end of 2026 if the Clarity Act passes. And they're really hinging the entire market around the Clarity Act passing and the framework and foundation that it will provide for crypto, the amount of capital and liquidity that'll flow in because of that legal framework. But in all honesty, the argument for the cycle still being alive is a lot stronger. Now, I agree with certain parts of the fact that, yes, the Clarity Act is literally a pivotal point. It is a once in a lifetime, once in history type moment for cryptocurrency that could easily change the typical cycle. But let's look at it real quick. As we talked about in previous one, the top has landed on schedule. It's landed on schedule 3 times, and it landed on schedule this year. Everything is currently on schedule as of right exactly now. 536 days post-halving, right in the historical window. If the cycle died, nobody told the cycle, apparently. The crash also is currently on schedule. We're at 51% right now, down from the all-time high. That is 8 months after the peak because it was October of 2025. We are literally following the cycle framework to the letter, the exact post-peak script. And, well, human nature didn't change in these past 4 years. The October 2025 crash liquidated $19 billion in leverage positions in hours. This week, $1.1 billion of leverage positions were liquidated. Euphoria and leverage are still running the show, and that is the fuel of every cycle ever. Institutions are panicking. Record ETF outflows or streaks this year. Wall Street didn't remove the herd. It just gave the herd a far, far bigger checkbook. And so, in that regard, we've got a lot of things that make it seem as if the cycle is continuing to repeat itself, just with small differences that have been created by the change in who's buying, by the change in the amount of money that's buying, and by the adoption, the mainstream adoption that we've really been seeing. And so, when it comes down to it, the cycle, in my opinion, is not dead. It's just, as I said, it's slightly changed. And maybe a good way of looking at it would be that it has gotten shock absorbers. Why? Because let's look at the drawdowns. Remember when we went over here and we were looking at this and this continuous growth and really this continuous repetition of the same cycle? Well, let's look at it. 2011, we saw a 94% drawdown from the all-time high. 2015, we saw an 85% drawdown. 2018, 84%. 2022, 77%. As of literally today, where we're currently sitting right now, 2026, we're at 51% down so far. Now, look over onto the gain side, the all-time high side. 2013 cycle, it was a 95x from the Bitcoin halving. 2017, it was a 30x price increase from the Bitcoin halving. 2021 cycle, it was an 8x from the Bitcoin halving. 2025 cycle, it was a 2x. And so what appears to be occurring here is that the highs are getting higher, but the lows are also getting higher. And so the overall price change between the all-time low that occurs after the all-time high is continually shrinking. 94% drawdowns in 2011 has dropped to 77% drawdowns by 2022, and we are yet to see what this one is going to end up resulting in. And so each cycle, a smaller boom, a shallower bust. That's not the cycle dying. That is the crypto cycle maturing. We're going mainstream. We've gotten all of these new waves of adoption, exchanges, future trading, ETFs. We've got corporate treasuries. We've got strategic Bitcoin reserves from government. All of this adds mass to the system. More mass it makes it harder to swing the price. Bitcoin is slowly graduating from a fairground ride to a macro asset, something like the size of gold. The rhythm may stay, as in the cycle, but the violence across it is starting to fade. And so if this cycle bottoms shallower than 77% that we saw in 2022, that's the maturation thesis proving itself in real time. If it crashes 80% anyway, then the old cycle just taught Wall Street some humility. And so let's take this and here's what I know everybody wants to know. If we were to follow this cycle, when are you about to see really, really green charts? And so this has got to be, like, I'm guessing this has got to be what folks are going, okay, Zach, if you tell me this is the cycle and this is what's happening, when am I going to see a bunch of green charts? And so if the old map holds, it actually predicts it pretty much down to a month. It doesn't just predict the actual dollar value. It pretty much predicts which month we're most likely going to see that new all-time high. And so if we were to follow it, and we were to follow that the cycle is going to repeat, we would currently be in the markdown phase. Month 8, 51% down from the all-time high that we saw back on October 7th of 2025. And so when would we be hitting the bottom of this current cycle? It would be sometime later this year, Q4 2026. Typically, past bottoms have landed 12 to 14 months after the peak. And so the peak was October 2025. The script points at October to December of this year being the low for this market cycle. Now, that would leave 2027 being the boring year. That would be the year of accumulation. If we were to go ahead and look at it in those terms, if the cycle holds, it would be a very, very boring year in terms of crypto news. Prices would stay overall fairly flat. It would be a repetition of 2015, 2019, and 2023, where patient money is sitting there and accumulating and buying and buying and buying crypto. Now, moving forward then, April of 2028, we would be looking at ignition. That would be the 5th halving of Bitcoin. Reward is cut in half, and that would be when we would start our countdowns. And so that would then leave the next peak of crypto or Bitcoin in fall of 2029. And so that would be September, October of 2029. We would see a new massive all-time high, probably somewhere around $250,000 or more on Bitcoin itself. And so if it holds the way that it so has in the past, we're going to see the bottom of the market later this year. We're going to have a very boring 2027. We'll see the halving occur in spring of 2028. And we'll see a brand new, fresh, all-time peak in fall of 2029. And that is if the old map holds exactly as it has in the past. Now, I think that there are very important caveats to remember here. If the cycle is dead, folks are right, then the calendar is meaningless. And the cycle is going to change, and we're looking at an entire shift in how this is going to work. If they're correct, then the Clarity Act is all that's necessary. ETF inflows resume, Clarity Act passes, we're on our way to new all-time highs in absolutely no time, but we'll be on that in a different fashion. It won't be the same cycle as before. And so, with that, and this is very important to remember that these are patterns. These are not laws. And remember that it failed just recently. Remember, it did have that all-time high before the Bitcoin halving of 2024 that did break the typical cycle. And so it's important to keep in mind that these are not set in stone rules. This is just what was the belief. This is what people that have been in crypto the entire time, this was the market cycle we were following. And now the billion-dollar question is this cycle continuing into the future or is it not? That would be where I would definitely love to grab you, Pops, and see what your thoughts are on it.
Wish I knew what to tell you the timing. It feels like we're right here and waiting. We're going like 5 years in this one. It's yeah.
I mean, and when you do, though, when you come and you break it down like that, though, and you look at what it has repeated and repeated and repeated,
to me, it screams the next bulls this fall.
Because, I mean, it is. The only weird thing was right here at the beginning, and that was quite odd. But
but it was the beginning.
2013, it is 4 years. 4 years. 4 years. And it is an exact repetition. It's 530 some days from the Bitcoin halving to the all-time high of Bitcoin. It's happened now 3 times in a row. Identically, it has occurred.
And what's that 535 days? Is that day today?
Well, for us right now, remember, we are currently sitting in terms of if the cycle were to repeat itself exactly, we are currently still sitting in panic phase. We wouldn't be at the our low yet. We're only dropped 51%. And so if it continues, though, and remember, it is absorbing, it's less and less every time. But 2022 was a 77% retraction. And so do we need to get to 70% or not? Those are all kinds of questions. But it does seem that the numbers don't lie. Ultimately, we continue to repeat this cycle, and the cycle continues to get tighter and tighter and tighter. Our upside gains reduce, our downside potential losses reduce also.
Yeah, a lot of people are writing off a lot of the cryptos as fiat. They're just going to be gone. There are so many differences depending on the project, the coin. It's just not as black and white and easy to look at and say, oh, they're all fiat, because they do not function the same way. Limited supply changes all of that. Bitcoin, some people believe as low as 40K before it rebounds. But then when it does rebound, where does it go? I mean, is it going to follow its normal? Is it going to go? I mean, we're going to see what, 180, 200?
Well, if you look at it, and so, if you were to say, okay, we had 2022, that low was 15,500. And so if you were to look at it and you were to say, hey, $30,000, $40,000 Bitcoin would make sense as potentially being the bottom of this cycle. It is possible.
Yeah, somebody just said, when is that 535? To me, if we're
that would be September, late September, early October of 2029 would be the peak. If we were to take this math and we were to say, hey, it's going to happen again, it's happened over and over again, it's going to happen again, it would occur in September, late September and early October of 2029. We would see Bitcoin at a new spectacular all-time high.
The question for most people is going to be, well, the high sounds great, but where's the low? So they know when to buy and not throw away their money. But, catching a falling knife's always been a fool's errand.
If you follow this market cycle, then you would be buying Bitcoin this winter. November through December is when you'd be buying Bitcoin. If you were to follow this cycle and this cycle to repeat, this is not financial advice, guys. This is
no. This is education, history.
Yes. And so, but if you were to assume that the cycle were to repeat itself, you would be buying Bitcoin and cryptos this winter would be the time to be buying them, because that would be the point the ultimate point of of markdown.
There's like a general rule of thumb. I want to say it's like middle week of February, where it's almost middle week of February to middle of April. There's like a period in there where cryptos always do better. Like historically speaking, it almost always seems like that's where they hit their bottom and then head back the other direction. But I'd have to, that's just history tickling my brain. I'd have to research to see if I'm accurate or not. I've had a number of people ask Blondie's question lately. Planning on getting a new computer when this goes through. Can you recommend an IT or security company? A lot of folks are asking those questions, and I wish I knew what to tell them.
That's one where there's a really big difference between the IT security type stuff for retail, for normal type folks, and the things that like a corporation would be using. And that's where there's a big breakdown. It's the difference between hey, I'm going to spend $20 to $30 on subscriptions each month for things like, the extra malware protection and the extra software and things for the computer, or it could ramp all the way up to, I'm going to buy a $10,000 secured, encrypted, cryptographically protected, server and router to run. And so that one's really, really hard. When money is not an object and it's that important, there's a lot of money that can be thrown at that problem.
A lot of money can be thrown at it. Question is, does it make financial sense? Yeah, there'll be something to talk about when everybody's got money, I think. Dinar Dude said, understanding it's not financial advice. Which 3 to 4 crypto would you be picking up if you had expendable, throwaway, don't care gambling capital that you want to invest wisely-ish?
Yeah, well, for me, Dinar Dude, definitely XRP is going to be on that list. I would say moving beyond XRP, though, other ones that I'm a really big fan of, I would definitely be trying to get some Chainlink. Actually, a little irritated with Chainlink that its price hasn't dropped more, because I'd really like to get some Chainlink at a lower price than
Chainlink is functional.
Stellar XLM has finally started revving the engines in 2026. If you had asked me in 2025, Dinar Dude, I would have said I'm not interested in owning any more XLM. And so as of right now, I would probably, for safety's sake, I'd be looking at blue chips, probably Chainlink, XLM, XRP, Solana. Solana, I'm not too certain about. Ethereum and Bitcoin. Absolutely. That would bring it to 5, though. That would bring it to 5. And I would say, Dinar Dude, if we were to stretch it out, though, when I hear the word gambling in crypto, I'm not on the top 100 crypto page. I'm way back in the thousands at the little micro caps. And that's where I'm like, yeah, that's some flat out
gambling.
Yeah.
But to me, it's a wild potential upside if you pick your projects. Can be fun. I've lost a bunch. I've got a bunch of all back and forth, been rug pulled some of the biggest. Overall, I'm still up. So,
yeah. Yep. But no, I hope that today's look through on the cycle was a helpful one. I know whenever prices go down, there's always that fear, and people want to understand what's happening. They're looking for a culprit, looking for something to point at. And
sometimes it's just normal cycles in markets.
Yeah. And now
I got to learn to play them.
Something's changed. I mean, the Clarity Act and the mainstream adoption of crypto has undoubtedly changed how this cycle is going to occur and how it's going to work out. So it's going to be extremely interesting.
It is. Because we are looking at our first cycle with mainstream adoption, which could change everything. Could change the amount of potential upside drastically.
Yeah. And the one weird one, though, is that you would have assumed if anyone was going to be the one that broke cycle, it would have been that 2025 all-time high. That would have been the one that would have made sense, because we were already seeing that mainstream adoption at that point in time. And for the market cycle to have repeated, even with the mainstream adoption occurring, literally occurring down to a matter of a few days, within a matter of a few days, 536 days, 2021, 546, 2017, 525. You would have thought we would have already seen it.
You'd think. Mimsy asking a question about that, and I've got to start wrapping up, guys. Got expectations. Let's see. Remind to ask again about Dark Angels. Do you plan to have that team? They have a name change. We could bring them in. It might be a good one to bring on one of the crazy Kryptonite shows, because the
I'd be happy to reach out to them. I'm certain they would be ecstatic to get on it and talk. I'm certain they would be ecstatic.
So yeah, we'll get back with you on that one, but I think that one would be a really good fit for the crazy Kryptonite on a Monday, Friday, something like that. Yeah, I'm with you on the Apple, Mr. Bill. I've had a fraction of the problems when I started switching a lot of my stuff towards Apple.
Don't say that blasphemy, because that means you'd have to use an Apple computer.
I know.
I'm a huge fan of Apple iPhones and the Apple iPads, although now really the Android tablets are just as good, but I cannot get behind the idea of trying to use an Apple computer.
I hear you. And I'm thinking about you. Although there's a new chip, NVIDIA's getting into the whole CPU combo GPU one, where the tech for, and it's not even an x86 operating system, totally different. It's going to be interesting to see how it works, but maybe throwing a curve at all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like major curve. All right, guys, I need to call it a wrap. Anything you want to add before we wrap here, Zester?
No. Don't think so. Besides that, well, tomorrow, I believe I'll be running the show tomorrow morning.
Yeah, he is running the show tomorrow morning while I make the mom visit. But I will keep you guys updated upon the way, etc. Here with Dr. Scott and Stacy Z.
Yeah. I get to talk with Auntie and Dr. Scott. It'll be a good show tomorrow.
It'll be a great show.
And then I'll also be back on Friday over on the Crazy Kryptonite at noon Eastern Standard Time.
Sounds good. Thank you, sir.
Hey.
See you this evening at 7. And then Whiskey and Wisdom at 8.